As a veteran, I'm asking you that, but this never happens again. You have the power of a whole country behind your opinion. Please use it to protect the Canadian people from this kind of misbehavior from this government towards its people ever again. The overreach for me was just too much. And again, I had to be in Ottawa. It was my duty. I had no choice.
Peace and love. We will win this.
Bring the pain so that the world can see what TRUDEAU is.
That's right.
Just about 100 feet from the memorial is where the police started to line up. And that's when the call out went, and all the veterans, or there was about 20 or so of us, we lined right up, we linked arms, and the consensus was that we're going to stay there and try and protect the Canadian people.
And why did you want to do that?
It was our duty. When I joined the military, I swore on an oath to protect people. I went to a war zone to protect those people, and I never thought that someday I would have to do it on Canadian soil, but I did, and I will again. I would.
Very real concern with respect to the witness panel of Chris Deering and Maggie is to not allow that evidence to be heard.
Emily Tamman for
I take it you're supporting the proposal that or the objection?
That's right. Yeah, we agree. Just on behalf of the Ottawa Coalition of Residents and Businesses, we share the view conveyed by the Ottawa Police. But in this case, we would agree that there is prejudice and that the evidence, at least as it pertains to the arrests, should not be admitted.
It's Chris Diana for the OPP. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, the OPP agrees with the position of our friend, Mr. Michikowski, both the main position or the alternative position. At this point, we don't know if the OPP was involved or not in these incidents.
In 2008, so in less than approximately 2 years, I was in Afghanistan. 4 months into my tour, my vehicle was hit by a IED, which took my vehicle. It blew my vehicle about 100 feet in the air, killing 3 occupants immediately and leaving me seriously wounded.
What made you want to come to Ottawa and protest?
It really wasn't that I wanted to come to Ottawa, it's that I felt it was my duty and that I had no choice to be there. Seeing what was happening over the last few years was troubling. And I felt that I was there 2 weekends, first between February 11th and 13th, in which a bunch of veterans took down the fence that was wrongly placed around the memorial. And then I went home, and then within days, the Emergency Act was looked at being enacted, and I rushed back to Ottawa to do what I could to protect the peaceful citizens of the protest.
Once the Emergencies Act was invoked, why did you want to either come to Ottawa or remain in Ottawa?
So I remember when they were voting on that, and my wife and I were lying in bed, and we were terrified how the vote was going, because we knew, or we felt, that the evidence would not be able to substantiate such a call. I felt there was a great need for me to be there, not just as a veteran, but as a seriously wounded veteran, to be there to protect the Canadian people from what could potentially happen. But about 45 minutes into the pushing, I kind of underestimated the amount of physical toll it would take on my body. After 14 years of not being able to do what I could do when I was 20, my muscles and my body was just, I had given up. I was finished. And the video would show that I succumbed, and I gave myself to the police. And as the police took me down, again, he knew he kneed me in my side, kicked me in my back. I was laying down. I was in the fetal position on my back. He kicked me in my ankle, my foot. As I was laying down, I had my hands completely up. I'm saying, I'm very peaceful. I'm peaceful. I'm not resisting. I was then punched 4 or 5 times in my head. I had a knee on my back to keep myself down. I was on the ground for 1.5 to 2 minutes. My hands were zip tied. We get to the processing line. The day was -20. I had no gloves on. At the beginning of the processing line, we were standing there. The duration of the processing line was 1.5 to 2 hours. So I was standing there in the cold for 2 hours. I asked the policeman who was on both sides of me, I said, do you mind, you know my conditions, is it okay if I sit or kneel because I'm in chronic pain? It was obvious, my face was flush, and I had cried multiple times, and I don't cry ever. It was the worst pain I had felt since I'd been blown up. The fact that I couldn't sit or stand was to me cruel and unusual punishment. We would go 15, 20 minutes without even moving. We had every right to be there under our Charter of Rights and Freedoms to peacefully protest, which we were doing. They had no right to do what they did.
Kofsky, I'm counsel for the Ottawa Police. And you knew that the Emergencies Act had been passed?
Well, they were still debating it in the House the day that I was arrested. So I wasn't really
What day were you arrested?
on the 19th.
Yeah, the Emergencies Act had passed.
Okay, it passed, but it was still being debated and it hadn't passed the Senate. So
And you both, I believe, fell to your knees and refused to move while the police operation was being carried out, correct?
No, it's incorrect. I was pulled down and beaten. Sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I apologize.
Sorry, I said I was pulled down. I was not on my knees. I was pulled down and beaten.
Right.
Sorry.
You were on your knees and you refused to move.
No, I was standing up. Sorry, I was pulled down.
And in fact, you believed as a veteran, you should put yourself in the way of other protesters because veterans are better able to withstand what was about to come, you said.
I wouldn't say better able. I just said we're more accustomed to it. Most civilians are not ready to be beaten. I was ready for it.
You were on the road when you were arrested.
I was on the road?
Yes.
That was hard to say. It was a lot of snow, so I don't know where I was on the grass, on the road. I'm not sure.
Right. And so were you, Ms. Hope Brown, weren't you?
everyone was on the road.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you understand you're obstructing a roadway, correct?
And the big,
Please, if I could ask everyone to not act out, that would be appreciated. We're trying to keep this civilized.
So everyone, all of the protesters who were arrested were obstructing a roadway, correct?
and the police were also obstructing the roadway, and if you think of it like that.
And you were there, Mr. Deering, you said 15 minutes before, and you saw the police were looking violent and aggressive, you said, and so you decided to stay on that roadway, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. And you're both aware, I take it, I'm just going to finish off, that there is an online fundraising campaign for both of you.
I'm not aware of that until just now. Okay.
That's wonderful.
That's
You're
great.
aware of that.
I am now.
And in order to benefit from that fundraising, I take it it's important that you tell the story that you just told, correct?
I'm not sure. Sorry, can you benefit?
They then drove us to a public works building that was 10.2 kilometers away from Parliament Hill. When they let us out of the paddy wagons, they gave us our possessions back. They gave us no paperwork. The police officer came out and gave us a stern warning and said, "You don't come back to Ottawa or you'll be charged." No one had any money. No one had any masks. We couldn't go into the building to make a phone call. So we were stranded. So we were forced to walk to a Wendy's that was, and I forget the approximate distance. So we had to walk from the public works building in the snow, in the freezing cold, to a Wendy's. I had called a friend that I had just met prior the night on the 17th. I met someone for 5 minutes, and he said, "If you need anything in Ottawa," and this is the type of people you met in Ottawa. I met him for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and he said, "If you need anything, you call me and I'll pick you up right away," and whatever. And he did exactly that. I picked him up. I called him at Wendy's. I said, "Can you please pick us up? We have no money. We have no means. We don't know where we are. We're not from Ottawa." It was just, I never thought that I would get dumped out of the city like trash by the police. It was